What is up, everyone? Today we are going to be cleaning this. This is a carburetor off a GCV160, basically the same thing as a GCV190 carburetor. There are a couple variants about this. Some have a fuel on and off on the side, some are meant for a horizontal shaft, but in general this is going to be a Honda carb clean. Well, hold on there. Over 90% of you, according to YouTube, are not currently subscribed. You're watching this video, but you're currently not subscribed. So I'm going to welcome you to subscribe at the end if this helped you out. I work on a lot of machines, so maybe the machine you're watching is going to be something you own, but who knows? Maybe you own a generator, a pressure washer, a big mower, a chainsaw, a variety of things. The only way to know if I'm going to fix it in the future is by subscribing, and maybe I get to the one that you own and can help you out then too. So I welcome you to subscribe, put a thumbs up if it does help you out. Back to your normal video. I have not done a single thing to this except take it off the machine. If you want to know how to do that, then go to any one of my other Honda channel or videos on this channel, and you are more likely than not going to see how to remove that carb. It's super easy, and there's a couple different ways, but in general they're all basically the same. Find the correct one for you and move forward. Having said that, first things first, we do need to remove this. Now, I made a video on how to clean this car before, but I did use the ultrasonic cleaner. A few people had mentioned that what type of house has an ultrasonic cleaner, and my response to that is what type of house does not have an ultrasonic cleaner. But knowing that, I know some people haven't quite gotten there yet, so we are going to be using something that costs about $3, $4, $5, I don't know how much it is right now at your current location or time, but brake parts or carb cleaner, it's basically the same. I prefer non-chlorinated if you can find it. So for, let's say, $5, some towels, a couple basic home tools, we're going to get this carburetor cleaned. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, this isn't necessary, but I do like to have a container of some type, preferably not clear or dark, because we do want to look at the condition of the fuel as it comes out. And in a clear, it's a little harder, and dark containers, it's a whole lot harder. But if you had to choose between clear or dark, definitely choose the clear. You should be doing this by hand, by the way. I wouldn't focus too much on the dirt you're about to see in here, because we are setting it down and there is dirt on the outside. While yes, that is important, looking at the dirt in the bowl is the more important part. We're going to let that drain a little bit. I'm going to grab something, kind of give a little persuasive tap. Usually they come right off like that. Sometimes you will have to get a little bit more forceful. So now, what do we have here? The bowl itself actually appears to be fairly clean. But yeah, it's not, I wouldn't be eating meals off of it or anything, but in the grand scheme of things, this isn't all that bad. Now, what do we see in here? Besides the dirt, see how hazy it is? See how on the bottom edge there, it kind of looks like there's like a section that's separating out. That's the reason why that is it is separating out. That's water. That's why I like to get something like this so you can see that. You can put it on your towel, but water and gas, when it gets absorbed by a towel, looks basically the same. We're going to put this off to the side. We're going to tip it over, or tip it on its side a little bit, so we can kind of get a good idea, because over time that water will settle more. Now, in that same hardware store or a different one, ideally you can get compressed air, or if you have a air compressor, get a can or whatever, and we're going to need that as well. Not 100% necessary, but it will make your life a lot easier. You can take out that pin. Because it's starting to get a little dirty over here, I'm going to take another towel and kind of have like a clean area and a dirty area. You are not going to be able to see the clean area, but just know that it does exist. And whenever I take something out of the camera view, that's where it's going. Before we do anything with the float though, look at a needle, make sure it's not corroded. If it is, just stop here. That needle's never going to work and you're going to need a new one. But between you and me, I rarely even see that to be a problem. So keep that between us. That needle is just fine. This doesn't matter if it gets dirty except for the end, and it's a little dirty to begin with, so we don't care. We do care about the pin. Let's go ahead and make sure its big stuff is off. Okay. This next part is pretty important. I got this at a discount. It's like the store where businesses that can't sell something, they sell it to them cheap, and then they sell it to you cheap. Whatever those stores are called. Thrift stores, consignment stores, I don't know. But I got this for like $1. I ground down the sides because usually the flutes on it are a little bit too wide, and when you try to put it inside the carburetor, it gets stuck. You're never actually going to reach the emulsion tube, which is right down there. It's really hard to see on camera, but there is a brass jet, brass being important. Oh yeah, there you go, now you can see it. And an emulsion tube, which is also brass. That's not as important though. Reason why brass is important for this is brass is soft. So when you do this, you want to find a screwdriver that is almost a perfect fit. It can't be that loose. If it is, you're just going to be grinding that brass away, and then you have to throw this away. Sorry, I need to see. Like, this is not wanting to come out. There we go. If you have a vise, sometimes you could put like a paper towel on either side, and or if you have the rubber pieces. Oh man, this is not feeling good. When it doesn't feel good like this, it's a good idea to take a little WD-40 or used motor oil, or I mean hell, cooking oil, I guess. Some type of lubrication. And yes, I know I said that wrong. Let that sink in a little bit. Where is that? They're super dirty. We usually get this problem. So let's talk about this jet. This jet is smaller than the end of the carburetor. So you can get to a certain point where you no longer can screw this jet out, because that's where the bowl nut goes. And you can know that because right now it's not moving. So down in there, hopefully you can see that little brass piece. That is a emulsion tube. You need to press down on that. That emulsion tube needs to be released. Usually, a quick tapping will jostle it enough. But in this case, because it is getting a little bit too gooey in there, if you have a set of Allen keys, if you ever gone to IKEA and purchased one of those, you build it, kits for whatever dresser your kid needed, usually comes with an Allen key. That one might be too big. Let's get a smaller one. And if you do not have a smaller one, then I suggest cutting the end of yours, because are you really going to need that Allen key again? So we are in an interesting predicament right now. I am pressing down on the emulsion tube, but it's still not coming out, which means this is pretty dirty. So I need to kind of use 3 hands here and try to press down on emulsion tube, kind of give a little pressure on the jet while twisting it out. This is going to take a little time. It's going to be me pretty much doing that over and over till eventually it comes out. And we are now ready to go. We got the jet out, a little marring, but not much. And we have the emulsion tube. So this is dirty. We need to clean it. But here is the thing. If you have corrosion in here, you're going to take like a brush and clean it all out. I'm going to take a brush and get a lot of this dirt off, and then we will get to cleaning the actual carb. But before I forget, this is actually pretty important too. These carbs come with a variety of different styles of this type of jet. Sometimes this piece is plastic, sometimes not. Whatever yours is, take this out, because if we do not clean this passageway, it will be running lean, and that's never a good idea. If yours is plastic, and like in this case, there's a jet in there, and we have to clean the jet. If you have a plastic type, the jet is actually in the plastic plug that you pull out. There's going to be a adjustment screw right here that you just take the same screwdriver. It looks like it will take like a weird D-shaped screwdriver. Don't worry about that. Shove this in there. Take it out. Take out the plastic piece. Word of caution, if you can, get like a pair of pliers with a rounded tip, or just a pair of needle nose pliers, and on either end of the plastic piece, equally apply pressure going up. Don't take your screwdriver and try to pry it off. That's how you break it. You'll never get it off. If you put equal pressure on both ends, because it does have a little bit of a lip, then you're going to give yourself a pretty much a guaranteed removal, unless it's super corroded in there. But it is plastic, so that generally does not happen. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and get this brushed off. At this point in time, you are going to want to get a pair of safety glasses and gloves. I'm going to skip the gloves because I ran out, but you shouldn't. So at this point, we're going to take our carb cleaner and we're going to spray it in here. This is a piece of cardboard type of material. Try not to get that dirty or soaked. There we go. That usually isn't a problem. We're going to spray in here. Now notice I'm trying not to get my hands dirty. That's to get rid of a lot of junk that was in there. And this is the important part. A lot of these little holes are passageways. Sometimes they're just blocked off because they have a generic carb design, but you don't know that. So spray through all of them. See how that one goes to that little screw hole? It's exactly what you want to see. Now you can be super thorough and do this, but in general, that way is going to be the first one you're going to want to attempt. This is when you're going to want to get that compressed air. Boom. Okay. Now, let's take some of this carb cleaner or brake cleaner. Now let's go ahead and spray the emulsion tube. Again, wear gloves. And while we're here, the jet, I like to spray with the flutes not facing my eyes and like this. See, that's why we're wearing glasses. So that legitimately sprayed my glasses. I don't know about you. I kind of like my eyesight. And the first couple times probably won't blind you, but do you really want to take that chance if you've done this a few times and maybe the fifth one does? Probably won't, but who knows? People die slipping out of showers. This is a wire brush. Well, technically it has bristles on it and it is wire, so we are going to take it and we're going to clean the jetting, because as we saw when we were doing the carb cleaner, it wasn't exactly making its way through very well. So that's plugged. You can also hold this up to the light. If your vision is good enough, you should see a very circular hole in it. If there's an impediment or if it looks jagged at all, it's still dirty. But you notice how I'm not taking like a drill bit? I don't want to rejet this, I just want to have the correct jetting. So now that we've done that, we should be able to do this again and get a better result. See how much better that is? It's not even spraying towards me anymore. That's perfect. If my hands weren't covered in carb cleaner, I'd give that little like hand motion like mwah. I'm going to look at it in the light just to make sure, but I think that's pretty good. My glasses are dirty. Oh yeah, that is good. That is going to make our way to the clean pile. Next, going to take the emulsion tube. Now, the emulsion tube, there's a series of little tiny holes drilled in here, and if there's 2 holes here, there's 2 holes there, so on and so forth. There's 8 big ones and a couple small ones. Looks like there's 6 small ones. The good thing is you can see through them if you put it at the right angle, so go ahead and do that. I'm going to make sure. So I looked through and I cannot see through one of these small ones. So that means we're going to take our wire brush, if I can see it, and simply go like this. Okay, I can now see through it. This has officially made its way to the clean pile. The bowl, that's important. We're going to take a little carb cleaner, kind of let that soak up a little bit. Take another towel and try to get all the nastiness out of there. Some of it probably staining, so you're not going to get all of it, but as long as it's not chunks or it's not going to be flaking off, it should be okay. You can take a wire brush and get it super clean. Just know that the areas that you're cleaning, there used to be a coating, and the areas that are clean right now, there is a coating, and you could be removing the coating from the clean areas. So I don't really like to do that, but sometimes a good scraping with like a screwdriver like this. I mean, the coating's gone right here, so we don't have to worry about that. And there are better tools. This is supposed to be for the everyday person, so if you have a better idea for a better tool, then feel free to use it. But for the average person, almost everyone has a screwdriver. And it's pretty much clean. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. Now, we start to move the clean stuff over to here. We are in a little bit of a better viewing point, hopefully. First things first is the emulsion tube. Emulsion tube, there's this end with this big hole. Other end with no big hole. Other end, no big hole goes in first. Boom. Then, we take the jet. The jet has no threads on this end and a whole lot of threads on this end. A whole lot of threads goes in first, and then you screw it in. maybe cross-threading a little bit. I think I get a better screwdriver. If you find yourself in the same position I was in, take it out, start over. That's what I did. It went right in. It was just a little bit of a wrong angle. Maybe you were not looking like I was. Who knows? Now, we take the carb and the float with the needle. The needle goes inside the little hole, like so, and then making me a liar. There we go. Now we're able to put this pin back in. Sometimes they will be a little temperamental. If they are super temperamental, then you can go ahead and clean it, but I'm just going to tap it a little bit. Like a pipe cleaner in there can be your best friend. Now we test it. When blowing in through here with your mouth, with the carb facing up, you should not hear air. But when you put it like this, you should hear air. It passed the test. If you do not do that test, more likely than not, you will end up having to do it later, because you'll be redoing it. Now the bowl goes on, and then bowl nut. You shouldn't do this, by the way. At this point in time, you're going to want to clean this jet. You could do it before, but I kind of do it later. It's really hard to show, but I just have to shove that little wire through there, make sure it goes through, and then we're going to go ahead and put that top screw back on. After you're done with that, you should be able to visibly see through that jet, or at least you'll see a clear hole. So I did. That should be good to go. If you have more compressed air, compress air that again just to make sure here should be set. Now, here's the problem. Some carbs, and this one does have it, if you look down there, you'll see a variety of small little holes. Very, very small. It's really, really hard to see. To get those, you have to take that wire from your brush, pull one out. And this isn't 100% necessary, but you should do it. If you're going to be doing it manually, of course. You take it and you put like a 90-degree bend on it, and then you use that tip or the end to clean out all those little holes. Like I said, more likely than not, they're not going to be obstructed, but if you don't do this, that's going to be your problem, and then you have to take the carb off one more time. So I know you're not going to be able to see anything. I mean, I could barely see anything, but it's because it's the wrong side. But basically, see how it's going in. I then take out the wire and I continue down the line of holes. This one has 4. I think they almost all have 4. There. And that's it. They're all not obstructed. If yours is adjustable, there will be a little adjustment screw right here. When you are cleaning the carb, that's going to be a place where you want to shoot a carb cleaner. A lot of times there will be a piece on top stopping you from turning and twisting it out. If you take a Dremel and cut it off, that's a good way. If you don't have a Dremel, then you could break it off, but be careful. You could very well break the stud off and you will never be able to adjust it again. So be careful with that. Or excuse me, not the stud, but the top of the adjustment needle off, and you'll have like a flush piece. Don't do that. If you don't have a Dremel and you don't feel comfortable cutting it with anything else, it's probably better just to leave it and just kind of really go over that section with compressed air. On the corresponding side, the inside, there will be you'll see like a little brass piece. Just kind of blow a lot of compressed air in there, try to get that passageway as clean as possible. But that's it. Your carb is now clean. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the machine, and I'll bring it back so you can see if it's running or not. And there we have it. Carb is now on. Everything should be good to go. I have new fuel, which is an important thing. I drained this fuel from the tank. I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of that's water. About inch, 3/4 of an inch. The bottom is straight water. Now if you were to just smell the tank, you can tell it's old, but would still be usable if there wasn't water in it. But there was water. So always make sure to drain your tank. Unless you're 100% positive, just drain your tank. Or if you even don't have any fuel, then you don't have to worry about it. But I also put a new air filter in there. Should be good to go. And just make sure that everyone understands why I'm saying water is a bad thing. Water doesn't go through the jetting. The surface tension is too high, so it will just sit there and get plugged. Water in this type of carburetor will just suffocate the fuel flow. That's why. We're going to turn on the choke. Now with this style of choke, it can take a moment or two to disengage, so it might chug, but it should be turning off within 10 to 15 seconds. Hopefully 10, less than the 15. That was weird. Not 100% sure why it backfired, but it works. So your carb is now clean. Everything should be ready to go. Don't have to worry about anything, at least in this aspect of it. But if you did have water in there or debris, you're going to have to clean it again. So make sure that you don't only just clean the carb, you clean the whole fuel system. Or replace the lines if that makes you feel better. I didn't need to, so it's fine. And other than that, we are good to go. This is how you clean a Honda GCV160 Carb or GCV190 or the GX series, just with a little bit of a modification for the fuel inlet for that one. It's basically exactly the same, however, but the key thing is you don't have to have any special equipment. Anything going to the local auto repair store will suffice. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. Catch you in the next video. Have a good night.